David, why did you choose that background? What's with that?
Because I miss my church, man. I miss my church.
Oh, that's your church? I thought that was a movie
no,
theater.
No. I mean,
yeah, that's
exactly.
It's the same
thing. No, church, right?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Church of AMC.
Yeah. It's Church of AMC. It's just a movie theater, man.
I was thinking about that recently. Movie theaters are my church because I wouldn't mind if I heard someone at church talking, but if someone talks in a movie,
I know.
I want to send you to hell.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I feel the same way.
There's no doubt.
Or at least get an AMC employee to kick them out.
Well, how do you guys feel about when people talk through the movie though? Like they're like reacting to the movie.
I actually tell them to shut up.
Really?
Actually, yeah. I learned I was not brave in the beginning, but I just said enough is enough. I can't stand when the phone is on.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand it when someone's like if it's a little kid. Like I remember watching Harry Potter and like the whole kid's narrating throughout the whole film. Like, oh, this part's coming up, and he's telling his sister this.
Hey, David, is that the first time you told someone to shut up?
So you turned around and told the kid to shut up?
Hey, baby, shut up!
That's the first time you felt the bravery well up was with the kid?
Yeah.
You were like, finally, this is the right person.
You know, I don't care if you're 7 years old or 70. I'm going to tell you. No, but I had enough. I just stopped like resisting the urge to tell people. Like it was very hard for me to enjoy. Everyone's trying to enjoy the film, and why can't you can be that person that stops that person from causing dismay in the theater. So I like it that I would always have, if I had a friend with me to watch a movie, I would tell him, hey, you're my backup, okay? If this guy comes up and tries to beat me up, you gotta protect me.
Hey, David, when we saw The Lodge, was that your like thought, just in case someone talks?
Well, you look kind of big. I mean, you look built, right? So
yeah,
I can see
super intimidating. I love being in a movie theater. If it's like a comedy and everybody's laughing at the same time, like that's the best feeling in the world. Or if it's a horror movie and everybody's reacting, or like it's super suspenseful. Like I love that. I miss that energy of just being around like hella people.
So it all depends, like if the whole, that's what's great about, going to the movie theater, especially when an opening night crowd during Avengers, right? It's like amazing, right? People are feeling that energy and people are reacting to it, or but like at the same. So I think it depends. Like, I mean, that's why I do agree with David that movie going etiquette has gone downhill. But great to have
since the phones. I think ever since
theater chains like Alamo Draft House that are very strict.
That's the only place I want to go.
Because like if you take out your phone and you start texting in the theater, they'll kick you out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They say it. They have an advertisement in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty
it's
detailed. Yeah, detailed policy.
Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Anderson. Do you have the stones to tell someone to shut up when they're talking in a movie? Because I'm like in between for me. I'm not like David. I can't do it every time. I've had bad experiences.
I never had I've just told people to I just go shh, keep it down, at the most. But I've never had any altercation or anything like that.
Has anyone once you give them the first shush, they kept talking, or has it been pretty swiftly?
No. I think they've stopped. Because if they're bothering other people, other people will. I think it's like you having that icebreaker. If like you're the one who goes shh to someone, other people will have the courage to actually also
shush back.
Yeah, shush back to that person.
You want the shush back.
Yeah, you want
the support.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so it's fine.
I gotta tell them.
You bought a ticket.
Dave, you're like the movie theater vigilante, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
enforcer.
Yeah. I
Good
should have a
enforcer.
shirt that will tell you to shut up.
Yeah.
You should wear like a red beret and like a leather
Oh,
vest,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
shirtless,
Angels.
shirtless, with red beret, like, you know, little crew with hammers, like little hammers like this.
Yeah.
And
what I mean?
smash their phones.
And just stand in front of Harry Potter, every
Yeah.
Disney and Pixar. You're like, don't talk, kid. Don't talk.
Right. Yeah.
And you should also
I mean,
hold the hammer. Hold the hammer
Yeah.
against the kid. That'll
that's
definitely
right.
that'll teach him.
Hey, what was Dave? What was your first movie theater experience that you remember? Like the first, like that made an impact and set, you know, the path of you being a cinephile.
Well, this is the theater I grew up in. I lived. Now it's a church now, but it was called Empress Theater.
Yeah.
It was actually called. I think it was called Dai Theater or something like that before that. I think it was another kind of theater, but it became a Chinese theater. And I lived
that's in downtown Hawaii.
That's in downtown Honolulu.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And literally right at the edge of all the buildings. And I lived in a poor housing area, which is like pretty much the separation of downtown. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And this is the first time I went there. I remember watching a film, and it was called Nacha the Great.
Oh,
What?
And
wow.
and man, this blew my mind. Like, look at it's all like just people doing real martial arts. And these are martial artists, and this is all done by Run Shaw.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Like it's so visceral, and I know if you like old Chinese cinema,
I do.
Wow.
You know, it's all great. But you know what? And you talk about experience. It's this. Anytime I see this logo,
Yeah.
and if I can play the music here, let me see. Can you hear it?
Yep.
That's it.
Shaw
Shaw
Brothers.
Brothers.
I'm like transported. I'm like transported, dude. Like that's the reason why I became a cinephile. Because like from when I was like 6 years old, I only remember I don't even remember my family really. I only remember like
Yeah.
I remember being transported from home to the theater and theater back to home. And every week for 50 cents for a child, you can watch a film at Empress Theater.
That's crazy.
Honolulu.
That's awesome.
And it's always a different movie, I think.
Yeah, I used to go to that theater with my parents as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's another theater too called Golden Heart.
Oh yeah, which is right around the corner.
Which is right around the corner. And they also
now also a church.
Yeah, double feature. This is where I actually got introduced to Bruce Lie.
Ooh.
So if you guys don't know, Bruce Lee, after he passed away, there was another guy. His name is Bruce Lie.
There are like tons of them.
Thing like Bruce Lee, but it was
the character that Breeze Lou was kind of based off of finishing the game.
Yeah, I had to. If I talk about that, I have to talk about finishing the game. I mean, finishing the game, which stars you, son. I thought that was an awesome comedy. I wish it was longer, but I'm sure budget did not permit that. But to have more of that movie, like it's such a great looking film. And
16 millimeter. Yeah, it was Super 16.
What? 16 millimeter?
Yeah.
Super 16.
Yeah.
That was shot by Tom Clancy. It was really
Tom Clancy,
the novel. Right?
Not the Hunt for October.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
Justin Lin and Josh, went to film school together, and Josh was our first AD on Better Luck Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And while we were doing Tokyo Drift, they were kind of going back to this idea that they had of what was it like when Bruce Lee died, finishing the Game of Death, and how did they cast that guy that filled in his spot? That you really never see his face. If you look at a Game of Death.
Yeah, Game of Death.
He only shot like 15% of the movie, I think, something like that. And then, and the rest of it, they had to put this dude in, and they would always have him. The camera would do like a pan, and he'd be behind like a potted plant, so you never see his face. You just see the right. It was like weird, right? And then
mask.
Yeah,
or
so
mask,
it was such a clever idea of going. In that time, how did Warner Brothers figure this out? Who were the masterminds of getting Game of Death released? Because if you watch Game of Death, besides the Bruce Lee stuff, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scene is, I think, the best. I mean, it's one of my favorite scenes ever. But the rest of the movie is like pieced together. It doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense.
It's weird. It's almost like Bruce Lee. It was like the energy of Enter the Dragon turns to like a Hong Kong Emmanuel tone. Did you ever see Emmanuel, that soft porn from the 60s or something? It felt like that. It was like, why is Bruce Lee all of a sudden in an Emmanuel movie? It was like weird because the shots didn't make sense, because all of a sudden they have to do all these weird pans where you never see his face, right? So it's like these like erotic foreplay kind of romantic lead up scenes that never happened, right?
Yeah,
so,
it was bizarre. That was weird.
I feel like finishing the game is really, really underrated, and it was. We went to Sundance, and it didn't get the reception that Better Luck Tomorrow did. And there were many lessons to that film. Was that, look, man, to do a repeat of Better Luck Tomorrow and to have that kind of energy is maybe once in a lifetime thing. Because I remember Jeff Dowd, our producer's rep.
The dude.
He was. Yeah, the dude who the dude from The Big Lebowski is based on, because he was the Coen Brothers producers rep too. He told me, he said, "Hey kid, I've been doing this a long time, and this energy you guys are getting with Better Luck Tomorrow is maybe never gonna happen again, or it's like once in a lifetime thing. It's very rare, so enjoy it." And I remember, and then when we went back with finishing the game, I thought it was gonna be a shoo-in because I loved the movie, and I was like, this mockumentary style is like clever. It's fun. I mean, the world would have never been explored. Everybody knows Bruce Lee, but interesting enough, not everybody knows Bruce Lee anymore. Game of Death, that jumpsuit, that yellow black jumpsuit, is associated with today's generation with Kill Bill, not Game of Death.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy.
You'd be right about that.
And that was the first thing I noticed when I would ask people, like, "Hey, do you recognize the suit?" They're like, "Yeah, it's from Kill Bill." And somebody would mention, "Oh, you guys are doing Kill Bill, costumes." And we're like, "Nah, man, that's from Game of Death." And right. And
Mr. M, do you agree, Mr. Youngin?
No, not for me. I'm part of y'all.
Yeah.
Racer M, his knowledge of films is too vast to ask. But I bet you if you asked, I bet you if Racer M asked his like nephews or his young cousins, they wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Even Kill Bill's a little far back, I think, for people
2003?
to. I don't know. I mean,
but that jumpsuit,
which was obviously it was an homage to Game of Death Bruce Lee. But everyone sees that jumpsuit and they think of Uma Thurman and Kill Bill. So I agree.
Yeah.
Generational thing.
Yeah. A funny story was, this is when Justin and I were we got validation of how good finishing the game is, because it's actually my favorite film that I've done with Justin. Right? I don't know, because it was so fun, man. It was It was just so fun.
It looked like it was so much fun.
Yeah, and it was all our friends coming together, and most of the props came from Tokyo Drift.
Oh wow!
A lot of the set stuff was from Tokyo Drift. Justin had an idea of like, let's shoot finishing the game right after Tokyo Drift, so we can use a lot of the the sets that they're gonna throw away. So we were able to recycle a lot of that. But funny enough is like about 2 years after the movie, maybe it was actually 3 years. We went to Sundance. It didn't get that reception. Kind of questioning. There was a lot of questions. was the film good, or like the people, did we waste our time? And Justin and I were walking on Ventura Boulevard. I think it was Ventura Boulevard. We're just taking a walk after we had lunch.
He's in the valley.
And this guy comes up to us. He's just walking by, and he stops. He stops me. He goes, hey, it's you. And then the obvious was like, oh, he's going to talk about Fast and Furious movie, right? And he goes, oh my God, we love you. We love the movie you were in. And I'm like, huh? And it's Fast and Furious. He goes, no, I don't know that one. He's like, the movie about the martial arts. You're in the yellow jumpsuit, and it's like a comedy. And I was like, finishing the game. He goes, yeah, I'm from Peru, and it's on. We have a Kung Fu theater still, like on free TV, like public TV. So on the weekends, remember back in the day, like on Thursday or Saturday night, Kung Fu theater would be on free TV wherever you guys were living. So they still have that in Peru. And he goes, because we show old Kung Fu movies, they showed finishing the game because they thought it was an old Kung Fu movie. But
that's classic.
They discovered it was a mockumentary of the films that they love. So because they watched those movies, Kung Fu theater is still happening in Peru. They got all the jokes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great.
And so Justin and I were like just looking at each other going, dude, this is the beauty of art and cinema, is that, in certain areas you might be totally ignored. Right. And then Peru, you're the biggest thing in Peru, man.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really awesome. All right. First time that I remember seeing a movie in the theater was Empire Strikes Back. I remember very clearly. I must have been like 4 or 5 years old. I don't know how old I was. I remember going into the dark, like space, and then watching the Battle of Hoth, the big epic snow battle, and just being totally blown away by that. But I think I fell asleep for like the rest of the movie, and then I woke up like at the end when Darth is like talking to Luke, and then that's all I really remember of that movie. But I remember that was my first movie. It's crazy
that you fell asleep at.
I think that's what I mean when I took my son to movies, like when he was really young. That's pretty much par for the course. He'll watch the beginning, fall asleep through the whole middle, and then he'll wake up for the end. And
that's true.
That will be your experience. You know what I mean?
To me, I feel like you remember things that you did in the theater. Like whether your popcorn pop, you jumped out of your seat or sleeping, whichever, But those are great, memorable times like that. Like, you went with your family, obviously. And
I went with like my neighbor and I went with like my neighbor. They had kids and stuff like that.
So they're babysitting cheating.
Yeah.
I love the stage of the movie experience when you start appreciating the concessions. When you're a baby, you get what is given to you, right? But then when you actually get to that age where you can go to the snack bar and then pick out the different type of concessions you're gonna have. First time I had Milk Duds at a theater, Milk Duds and Pepsi. Oh man, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's when that's what solidified that. This was the theater is my church. This is where I belong. I can eat Milk Duds and Pepsi, right? And
so Milk Duds are the body of Christ, and Pepsi is the blood of Christ.
Is the blood of Christ? Yeah.
Exactly. Well put. Very well put. I remember the first time I was allowed to have Milk Duds and Pepsi was, but like Cory, my dad would take me to all the kid movies, like all the Disney movies, like Pinocchio and stuff like that, 101 Dalmatian. But I don't remember like those experiences. I don't have like a deep. I remember I saw the movie and that's it. But I don't remember what I ate or what the theater looked like or what it smelled like. But at a certain age, I think I was like 11 or 12. My dad took me to go see American Ninja.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Which is Canon film.
Is that the one with
It's also Canon film.
Who? Hasselhoff?
That Dudikoff? Michael Dudikoff?
Michael Dudikoff, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. You know this movie?
Goal on Globus
I
production.
told you. I
Yeah,
know.
it was a
Wow.
canon movie.
Canon
I-
movie.
and I remember-
man.
How can you forget his name? Dudikoff.
Yeah, Dudikoff. Yeah, it was so weird to me because as a kid, I was a huge ninja fan, man. I wanted to be a ninja, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean,
Totally.
and then being able to watch this movie without my sister and my mom, it's just my dad. It's like a dude film. And then I remember leaving the theater in the car, and I was talking to my dad, and I was going, "Hey, Dad, I have a question though. If his ninja suit is an American flag, I thought ninja suits were to camouflage you. You can't really camouflage." So,
Hey,
This
stop
is
questioning the movie.
you're supposed to be in the shadows, right?
Yeah. A ninja's all about the stealth.
The American ninjas don't care about subtlety.
No.
obviously.
But
And
that's why he's an American ninja.
Yeah.
But who
Miracle.
made that suit? Like, I was like, where did you get that ninja costume made? Like, where does the ninja who's supposed to be stealth, right? Is supposed to be undercover, goes and gets an American flag ninja suit? Come on, you know it's some old lady somewhere in Burbank that, you know, is a seamstress that he has to, so, you know, you can't be undercover, man. You
Right.
can't,
And she's blind. She's blind.
Yeah.
She's a blind seamstress.
Yeah. But going back to those movies, like, that's when you realize, like, you know, it can be a bad film, but it's still, to me, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, my first movie theater experience probably wasn't my first experience. I think my parents claimed that they took me to see Star Wars when, you know, maybe during the re-release or maybe Superman the movie. But the one I remember most vividly is a film that I actually saw maybe only the first 10 minutes. So they actually took my parents, who were, you know, immigrants to the country, they're refugees from Vietnam. So, and then, like, you know, by our house in our neighborhood on Oahu, there was a old drive-in theater called the Wildlife Drive-In.
Yeah.
And so every weekend we would go there, and like they took us to my dad, you know, like, oh, let's go see Flash Gordon, right? So,
Nice.
but, you know, so we went there, you know, me and my brother, and we all, you know, concession, we all in the car. I think even I don't remember, but we used to like hide in the trunk to, like, you know, because, like, you know, like, pay per person.
Definitely.
So, like, a lot of people were doing that, not only us, but but, you know, we go there, but it's great. It was great. You know, that driving was always packed, man. But so we, you know, we decided to see, you know, Flash Gordon, but it wasn't Flash Gordon. It was actually Flesh Gordon.
No way.
Which is funny. Flash Gordon came out before the Sam Jones Flash Gordon. So, but I said maybe it was like kind of like a double feature, you know, like, or whatever. Because, you know, drivers will always play movies from, you know, it doesn't have to be new releases or what have you. But
Okay,
yeah, it was Flash Gordon.
just to clarify, is that porno or not?
I mean, it was a softcore porn, but they actually made a you know, like a pretty, you know, like a soft R or high, you know, hard PG-13 version. But you know, so it was Flash Gordon.
A
So I just
hard
remember
PG-13 version.
I remember watching it, like, you know, and the film opens with, you know, passengers on the plane, like at a 747, and all of a sudden something happens, and all the passengers, all their clothes start burning off, and they all started having this huge orgy. And it's like,
Of
my mom
course.
was screaming. My mom was screaming, like, telling my dad, like, just, you know, get the hell out of here. In Vietnamese, like, driving, you know, take them, you know, like, why did you take your sons to this movie? And my dad's like laughing, you know, and all that. And then my mom was kind of her eyes and stuff. So, I mean, so I remember just watching that, you know, I've never seen the film in its entirety, but I remember watching the first 5 or 7 minutes of it. It was like, yeah, it was really impactful. So it was
Wow.
That's a great story.
You win the award for best movie experience.
Not yet. Ray Saram hasn't shared his experience. He might be able to top this.
Well, going back to something someone said earlier, like, the first one I can remember was Lion King. The first one I can remember. I know I'd seen something before that, but Lion King is the one that I remember with the most clarity. I remember I watched it at a Pacific Theater in Lakewood, California. And I remember it was like packed with parents and kids. And I saw it multiple times. I think I saw it twice. And all I remember is that I loved the design of Scar way more than Mufasa. Like, Scar just looks cool. He has that scar over one of his eyes. He has that svelte look to him. Mufasa's a little more husky. So that moment when, spoiler alert, Scar throws Mufasa off the cliff, I was the only person who cheered. I was the only kid who cheered when Mufasa was thrown off the cliff by Scar. That's my earliest memory.
Wow, you got really interactive.
Wow.
You were never the same ever since.
No, never. I also cheered for the part in Lost World, Jurassic Park 2, when that guy gets torn in two by the two T-Rexes. I was the only person who was cheering. So cool. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then your parents you go see a child psychologist afterwards.
No, I don't think it's necessary, but I do wake up in a cold sweat sometimes.